Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by your faculty, Sushma Keti. So what is the topic that we will be looking into today? Iran war. Why has Trump not yet won this war? We will discuss 7 main reasons behind it. Understand? Now, I mentioned 7 reasons why Trump has not won the war. But this is not how your US President Donald Trump has claimed how the Iran war is. For example, on February 28th, when USA and its ally Israel both carried out preemptive strikes on Iran, within an hour or two, Donald Trump was claiming that he was winning the war, and he and your Israel both have launched your operations, claiming that this has badly affected your Iran's strike back capability. Over the course of the war, now the war has entered into the second week crossing. Now, over the course of the war, US President has many a times held that, Donald Trump, US President, has held that in the past year he had, that is, USA had completely obliterated your capacity or your nuclear enrichment capacity, nuclear programs, nuclear missiles, all that aspirations or nuclear aspirations of Iran has been completely obliterated. If it was obliterated in the last year, then what was the need to do it now? This is where US President has claimed that is because your Iran is continuing to restart the operations. But now they have been hit so much so that they have no strike back capability. This is one side. The same US President Donald Trump has also held that because it is a joint operation of both your USA and Israel, when the war will come to an end, both your US President Donald Trump and your Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be the one who will decide when the war will end. So it is a mutual agreement, is what he has told. At the same point of time, if you see, over the course of war, US President Donald Trump has again claimed that we have hit the naval vessels, we have hit the infrastructure, critical infrastructure so badly that your Iran is now almost having to just surrender, one step beyond surrender. What is the kind of surrender your US president is wanting is from your US, that is from your Iran, is complete surrender, which Tehran is not agreeing for. But in this, if you do observe, I told you the two players here or the allies are your US President Donald Trump and your Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They have different versions of viewing this war. For example, when your US President Donald Trump had told we are attacking a lot of facilities, naval bases, all of these we are attacking, he told particularly we have left out the critical infrastructure of your oil refineries, your oil sources. But whereas if you see how Israel is attacking, it is attacking the oil sources, oil infrastructure. So the conflict of what the war is supposed to give, as in, your US President Donald Trump is wanting one particular date as an end day, as yes, victory has reached. But that is not what your Israel is seeing, because Israel is now a partner in that area. That is your West Asian geopolitics, which makes it, understanding, want a different set of things from this war as an outcome rather than one victorious day. Understanding? So these are one side. Another aspect of this particular Iran war is, in the very initially when your US struck, they held that, they also many times US President Donald Trump has claimed that it is time now your Iranian people unite and take back their country, strongly hinting at a regime change. Fine. The things that followed that are your Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was hit and he was killed. Now they thought the regime is going to end here, and your US was also wanting a complete regime change, is what it kept telling. But then, when a successor to the Iranian regime was named as the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son, Ayatollah Moshtaba Khamenei, came in. Now, this again puts the scenario into a different mode where US kind of changing stances as to what exactly it wants from the war. With all this ongoing, your Iranian Foreign Minister Aragachi many a times has held that he has dubbed your Operation Epic Fury as Operation Epic Failure. See, one cannot just dismiss Operation Epic Fury as an epic failure because of certain main important things. See, militarily, this is a success. When we say militarily, it is a success, as in your US and Israel both have consistent amount of leverage. But this alone is not enough to win the Iran war. Why? For example, let's take one simple thing is your Strait of Hormuz. Your Strait of Hormuz has about world's the global 20% of your energy. Okay, energy trade happens through your Strait of Hormuz. Unless and until you take Strait of Hormuz, you cannot claim to have won the victory. Understanding why? Because see, simpler aspect. Now this is Strait of Hormuz. If your US naval fleet has to come in, your Iran has your anti-ship missiles, ballistics, all of this, your UAVs, which are much more cheaper, ready and waiting to hit and attack a much more costlier, understanding, your US military. At the same point of time, there has been a lot of rumors, talks, etc. Now, why I am mentioning this as rumors is many have started questioning whether US is having enough arms ammunitions. Now, this would be just ridiculous to tell, wait, US is running out of arms. No, it is not about US is running out of arms. How much is it costing US to put it arms there? For be it your Tomahawk missiles, understanding, and they are being attacked with something that is a quarter of the fraction of cost what these US missiles, your naval fleets, all these are. If this is on one side, another difficulty is the internal politics of your USA or your domestic situation. What is the domestic situation? The people are now growingly frustrated. Frustrated about the oil prices, frustrated about the household budgets becoming higher. Understanding this is all starting to act out, and this is coming at a period of time when there is midterm elections. Yes. So, with all these on one side, it is not that easy to claim a victory, nor is it the time to walk out of this. This is the pickle that USA is in. See, now if we speak about your concept of victory, one clean sweep victory, if at all we can say, United States had this. That was in your 1945 against Nazism and Imperial Japan. But that kind of clean sweep victory, US has not had post 1945. So much so that there has been many instances where your former US presidents have just prolonged a war that was not going to end. If that is on one side, the post 1945 US has lost more wars than it has won more wars. Understanding? So, we will now be discussing few of the features as to what are causing the effect. First and foremost is your Strait of Hormuz crisis. Irrespective of how much military capacity that your US is trying to utilize, but it is still not able to reclaim your Strait of Hormuz. Let's assume with so much difficulty you will open the Strait of Hormuz. Understanding how will you have to travel through the Strait of Hormuz? You always have to have escort. Now, how long can you continue with this escort? First thing. Second thing is, it was one of the most severe traffic that was there in Strait of Hormuz is now very scarce amount of traffic, which means your Iran can control Strait of Hormuz with just a few, okay, resources, whereas to pass the resources through the Strait of Hormuz becomes extremely costly. Your insurance rates will premiums will kick in and skyrocket. Understanding? So even small disruptions here can have big global impact. So Iran's cheap drones and missiles are threatening your global shipping. Alongside this, your Iran is bound to have your asymmetric warfare. In Lexia IS itself, we have discussed about your naval mines being deployed around your Strait of Hormuz and your US trying to take down vessels which were laying down the naval mines. Yes, look at this. This is your Strait of Hormuz, the northern area controlled by your Iran, which makes it the ideal geostrategic, or it is trying to terrorize or hold this area captive. Because you hold this area captive, you will disrupt the entire global supply. Another thing is, one of the main things that US President Donald Trump wanted was to completely end the nuclear ambitions, aspirations of your Iran. Your US Navy is the strongest in the world, yet it feels that opening the strait is risky. Why? Because the dangers that it is predicting in your, at least US officials have completely read the situation in your Iran war, where there are anti ship missiles, naval mines, and swarm of drone attacks, which makes it very difficult and not the right choice right now. But if you don't open it, what is the point of winning the war? Understanding? Many times the experts have suggested that the issue in Iran had to be was a political one, where we needed political results, and this was not needed in the first place. That is the war. Next is with regarding to the regime change or your leadership change. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was assassinated. They thought now the power will transfer, the regime will be now taken over, people will revolt, but no such thing in a significant large amount has happened. But in fact, what does happen during wartime usually is it brings people much more closer. So, as we said, your Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was assassinated, but his son Ayatollah Moshtaba Khamenei has been now taking over the power. Many people have claimed that he is even more extremist than his father in the ideologies. Okay, so regime change is achieved means that doesn't mean all the problems of Iran will get solved. Next is the difference of the goals with respect to Israel and USA. USA wants shorter conflicts because it is having huge amount of domestic political pressure. Like I told you, midterm elections are coming. Your many states are now facing the brunt of increased household budget. Your LPG crisis, now example, let's say even in India. Okay, the rising oil prices are hurting the voters. So they are trying for a quick solution, but whereas Israel is going for different kind of things. It wants continued pressure and long-term action rather than just one particular objective to be got as a goal. And they want that particular regional dominance. Next and most important thing is your unresolved nuclear question. So much so that it is held that US President, like I mentioned, has told he has obliterated the nuclear aspirations of Iran. But if they did possess, while the time of the war, they did not possess nuclear weapons, which means it is still in the future aspect. Yes or no? They just delayed the process. That is how we can see it. And one more thing is, there are still many experts which are claiming that there is up to 200 kilograms of enriched nuclear uranium which is still present at your Isfahan facility. So there are also been thoughts and suggestions of where your Trump will bring in a specialized task force to collect these nuclear enriched nuclear uranium. So much so that there has also been talks where your Russian President Vladimir Putin has suggested that the nuclear material be moved to Russia, which your US President has rejected. So if this is all on one side, if you do not take back that nuclear material, then it would mean that they would somewhere start in the future. Then again, this would be a never ending conflict. Another aspect is the same thing. He thought the people will now stage a revolt which will bring the regime to the knees and then a new power will be reinstated. But instead, War government has tightened control, and during wartime it is expected that your nationalism will surge, unity will increase. So this is also on one hand. The domestic pressure in US, rising oil prices, inflation spikes, your household budgets are increased, which means the ordinary Americans are facing the wrath of the war. Now, this is not just ordinary Americans, but throughout the world, the common people are facing the brunt of the war. So, and this especially at your election, midterm election, is another factor that your US President Donald Trump has to consider. Alongside this, if you see certain strategic consequences, your energy security. First and foremost, 90% of your China's energy comes from your Strait of Hormuz. Your growing economies like India, China, Japan. Now, when I say Japan, when I say with respect to growing economies, I mean the energy hungry countries. Okay. Now, if a hit happens on this, then it leads to a ripple effect. Coupled with this, insurance costs are increasing and also regional stability. One thing about your West Asia is anywhere anything happens, the entire area gets disturbed. So, especially in areas such as your Gaza, Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, with already existing conflicts, and this having a spillover will further destabilize the region. So, at the end of the day, what can we see here is like your Iranian foreign minister Aragachi said, this cannot be dubbed as Operation Epic Failure. It is having a military decisive advantage, but if we have to claim, or if US has to claim it has won the war, there are few boxes it has to get it ticked. Understanding victory is measured by not just early military success, but also your political outcomes, and with respect to your nuclear question, all of these having to be solved. With this, we come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it along with your friends. Now, if you're someone who enjoys to get know about your local news, national news, international news, subscribe to our channel because we provide deep insights into all of these topics. Thank you.